الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe, the Master of the Day of Judgment. I bear witness and testimony to the oneness of Allah, to His magnificence, His omnipotence, His might, His glory, to His being the creator and sustainer of all things, the giver of life, the guider of hearts, the master of the Day of Judgment. And I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His servant and final messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon all those who choose to tread in his path until the last day. It is said that on one occasion, a man came into the city of Mecca to do business with the elite of the town. The situation came about that when it was time to compensate him for his services, nobody would pay him his due. And this took place at a time when the early Muslim community faced great persecution at the hands of the Meccan elite. That the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ found himself in situation after situation where he and his companions were mocked, ridiculed, marginalized deeply by society. That he would pray, and while he was in prostration, they would take the entrails and intestines of animals that were recently slaughtered and put it upon his back. That they would mock him in front of his own daughter, that they would come to him with pieces of rope and literally start to choke him, and his companions had to intervene, saying, أَتُرِدُونَ يَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلًا يَقُولِ رَبِّي اللَّهِ, that do you want to kill a man that all he is saying is God is my Lord? And now when this man seeks his due, the Meccans utilize the opportunity to again try and mock the Prophet of God. And they say, do you know who it is that can help you? Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. And so he goes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, this is what is happening to me. And those men, they said that you would be able to assist me through this. And the Prophet says that, is that what they had told you? He says, yes. The Prophet ﷺ, he goes and he knocks on the door of Abu Jahl and he says that, give this man what it is that he is due. And Abu Jahl, he says, right now, O Muhammad. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says, yes, right now. Abu Jahl gives him his money. The man goes back to the other Meccans and says, thank you for introducing me to Muhammad. He was able to get me that which I was due. And they are astonished. They don't understand why it is that this man was receiving his compensation from Abu Jahl. And so they go and they inquire, what was the point of you doing that? We had created yet another opportunity where we can make it difficult for this man Muhammad, where we could mock, where we could ridicule. We had set it up for you so nicely. Abu Jahl, he says to his companions, that if you had seen what I saw on the face of Muhammad, you would have done the same exact thing. In the legacy of our Prophet, you find individuals, men and women, who knew what it meant to stand up in the face of inequity and oppression. That the Prophet ﷺ was not a man who demanded justice for himself, a certain treatment that said, recognize me as who I am as a messenger of God. But when he saw those who were around him in need being persecuted and oppressed, he would do whatever he could to right those wrongs. With mindfulness, with strategy, with deep wisdom that allowed for him to go through 23 years of his mission in such a way where the people were deeply persecuted and he was able to go back into those same cities and with mercy and peace regain the Kaaba and the city that it was situated in. For us, the reflection has to be deep and quite introspective. To understand that what we have seen in the last few days is not just the onset of something, but reality is such that for many weeks, months, years, and decades, this is a reality that this country has been built upon. The infringement upon the rights of minorities in abundance, and if you feel it now a little bit differently than you might have felt it in the last month, in the last year, in your life in its entirety, know that it's something that has been taking place for a long time. But the decision that's incumbent upon each and every one of us from this moment going forward and every tomorrow that we are blessed to be in this world is to make a determination as to where we will stand in this situation. That if you were to look back in retrospect 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, that your children and your children's children were to look back at these moments and they would see clear lines being distinguished in this earth. What side of the line are you standing on? In pursuit of what are you moving and making decisions? Righteousness in and of itself is not a virtue that exists on its own. Nor is justice, nor is patience, nor is truth, nor is mercy, nor is compassion, nor is love. The list can go on and on. But ours is a tradition that tells us to not aspire just towards one of these, but all of these. And the application of those things can be assessed for us as individuals based off of what it was that we did and did not do in these last days. That's where you got to take a look inside your heart and ask yourself deeply, what is it going to take to move me now towards something that is just bigger than me, myself? The country that we're in does not have a problem with us because of our faith. Don't let yourself be in a place where you tell yourself anything else.
Nobody has an issue with you because you are simply Muslim. But this is a country that from its foundations has tried to aspire towards a recognition of diversity and pluralism that other countries did not. When people left from the place of Europe, they were trying to build a land that was meant for people to immigrate to. And the place that they left from did not aspire towards that. And where those countries and those people were having their challenges around issues of faith, issues of spirituality, launching war after war and crusade after crusade, saying that our only movement away from this can now be the embracement of the secular. To adopt notions of liberalism that tell us that we go from an overtly religious society to one that walks away from it in its entirety. This country was not following that suit. It was not founded upon elements of religion or faith in that way. But the challenges that it was trying to deal with were always tied to challenges of race. Can we have everyone please move up? That in the foundations of the country itself, when they were trying to understand how will we deal with the fact that there are people here who are not all the same. Their race is different, their skin color is different, their cultural heritage is different, their country of origin is different. How will we be able to exercise a recognition as we build foundational elements upon which this country is founded upon that will navigate this diversity in ways that other countries were not thinking of at that time? The priorities were given to adult white males. Left out of that equation quite heavily were Africans who were brought against their will to the country. Many women, if not all. And to understand the culmination of this results, not just in what we see in the last years, but in recognizing that some of the bloodiest battles that took place in this country, when civil discord erupted and states fought against states, that division came not over divisions of faith, divisions of religion, divisions of spirituality, but that civil war was a battle over race. And the country has never addressed it, nor has it ever healed from it. And if you think that we are seen as Muslim because of our faith, it's just a different variation of the same conversation that's been taking place for centuries that puts us against one another through elements of race. Now, where we have a decision is to decide whether or not where the streets are filled with people that are drawn towards value. Protest after protest at airports, at parks, all across the city, all across the country, all across the world, with people enraged because they are trying to keep Muslims out of the country. Where have you been sitting? What have you done in the last days? What have you spent your time on? What have you spent your money on? What kind of conversations have you been engaged in? The empowerment movement will not be woken within us unless you let yourself be woke to certain realities. Where nobody stood with a tyranny of supremacists and racists that now sit and dictate how the country will run. But literally, hours later, in the same places where that inauguration took place, millions converged because they were being called towards value and conviction. They wanted to uphold ideals of truth and equity and justice. Where were you? And if you were there, where were you the next day? And the day after? And where will we be for the next 4 years? I had a brother say to me the other day, don't you think it would be good if even we engaged a little bit and they just gave us 5% of our rights? What 5% of your rights? And even if they gave you a little and you chase after the scraps, do you know what they'll do to other minorities so that you get what it is that you need for your own sense of security? Now is the time to think, if you have not thought before, about why God gave you the wealth that He gave to you, about why God gave you the skills that He gave you, about why God gave you the training, the credentials, why God placed you in one of the most influential cities in this world. It wasn't so that you could sit behind the desk of your office. It wasn't so that you could hide in your dormitory. It wasn't so that you would hide the most salient part of your identity, your faith, your religion, your spirituality. But if at any other point you need to recognize that there are so many out there that are your supporters, and now more than ever, we need each one of us to be unapologetically who we are. Or it's just going to keep perpetuating itself over and over and over again. There is a misnotion that resonates in the minds of so many Muslims that says somehow we will be marginalized by society if we critique it. If we somehow say that the policies are unjust, that they are inequitous, if we somehow use the voices that we are entitled to use for our sake as well as the sake of our brothers and sisters from all backgrounds, what will people say? What will they think? How will we move forward? We won't have our jobs. We won't get those degrees. We won't have that money. The foundation of this country is the fact that it is built upon your right to protest. You don't live in other parts of the world. You live in this part of the world. And if you are scared to exercise your right, and you believe somehow in what these people tell you, that your Americanness is invalid because you will not stand for what it is that they are calling towards, that is just iniquitous, hatred, racist bigotry. What God do you believe in? What afterlife do you understand in? Our challenge is not one that we are not exerting a civil disobedience. But like the man said, we are too obedient in ways that we should not be. Where your hearts speak to you, and you see travesty and inequity, you turn on the screen, and there are so many others calling for your rights. Why are you in your house watching it happen? I'm not a protester. That's not what I do. Do it now. And stand up to what it is that they have imposed upon us. To tell us that the only good Muslim is the one that is silent. That the only good Muslim is the one that toes the line. That doesn't tell their employer that they pray 5 times a day. That is scared to rock the boat and say, give me a room where I can turn to my God. The one that doesn't make a big deal and ask for time off for the Jummah prayer. The one who hides their identity. The one who just fits in. Everyone please move up. But with real strength and real recognition, understand that there are so many in this world right now who are standing behind us. But if they are trying to stand behind us and we are sitting down, what is their standing going to do? And you can think that, well, I'm not perpetrating anything. That there are so many others who are out there sharing their voices. There are only 3 options of where we can be. We are either those who are committing the heinous atrocities. We are either those who are standing against it with everything that we are endowed with. Or we are those who are just as bad as the perpetrators because we have the ability to do and we just don't do it. For the long haul, you got to start thinking smart. You'll say it, you'll say it, you'll say it. But God keeps giving us opportunities to wake up and recognize You saw challenges, you saw tribulations. There was nothing that was going to be worse than September 11th. There was nothing that was going to be worse than George Bush. There was nothing that was going to be worse for us than Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIS. And after each and everything, you saw the next thing come, and the next thing come, and the next thing come. The reality of trial and tribulation is not changing. What needs to change is our response to it. To recognize right now what you are being unveiled to is nothing less than what values drive you. You want to see what it is that you uphold? What it is that you give deference to? Then just be real with yourself. Really think about it. And ask yourself, why are you not doing it? For those of us who have fear, that's legitimate. But for those of us who are indifferent, that's disgusting. For those of us who think somebody else will do what we have the ability to do, that is the ugliest thing. You have means, you have know-how, you have skills. If now is not the time, then when? But it has to be strategic. The ACLUs, the NAACPs, the CARES, the move-ons, the CUNY Clear projects, you should be giving them your money right now. Funding them, donating to them, as they stand up for the rights of so many. This is the time to be checking in on others, to not be engaged in gatherings that are exclusive, but to go to your local communities, to go to the leaders of your communities and say, what is it that I can do? To take your skills and your know-how. And the fear cannot be paralyzing. It cannot create such a paranoia that causes us to retreat to simplicity. I've had people who have the highest degrees possible from the most reputable of Ivy League institutions sit down and talk to me as if they are in elementary school. Have a confidence in yourself through what God has endowed you with, and go out and be the light that is necessary to illuminate this world. But those who have no interest other than their own self-interest will continue to move forward and succeed until we recognize what is really taking place here and decide which side of the battle you want to be on. They have treated black people like terrible in this country. And if you think that has nothing to do with the way Muslims are being treated now, you need to wake up. They have persecuted minority after minority after minority. As the country transitions into a minority majority, the solution is to just feed a message that says diversity is the problem. You know the one that took your job? It was that person from someplace else. You know how we're going to keep the Mexicans out? By building a big wall. You know how we're going to get rid of all the foreigners? By banning them from the country. It's going to keep going. They can't stop it. It will be a minority majority country. And your allegiance does not have to be to a government apparatus that will transition itself out after 4 years. But you start to think strategically that in the coming year, 2018, there will be numerous congressional seats that are open. Where is your strategy on how it is that we are going to be involved in the process to get the right people in those seats? Where is it that we're going to start thinking about how you will be those who work in the public sector, so within the system there are individuals that are doing right and they are motivated by right principles? But if your heart's attached to this dunya, man, your heart's attached to it in every way and it won't let go of it, then the rest of your body is going to follow suit. This is not the time to be swayed by the false realities of this world, but to really ask yourself where the presence of the world beyond this one finds itself in your decision making. And to recognize that if times are tough, Allah's promise will always be true. With hardship, there will be ease. And there's a much bigger reality than the world that we find ourselves in right now. You just have to ask yourself, which one are you working for? Which one is your goal, your objective? These days are more important than any days that you are smiling at each other. That you give your salams to your brothers and sisters with an air of real love. Not a hi or a hello, but you invoke, Ya Allah, Ya Salam, descend your salam, your tranquility, your peace on my brother and my sister. You go and stand with others in their struggles. Because our fundamental social justice 101 teaches us that we do not put struggles in competition with one another. The momentum has to maintain itself. Because it's easy to stand on the first day of a protest. But when it gets to year 3 and year 4, what's going to keep you going? And if you are worried about what people will say, what people will think, is anybody in their right mind going to say that Rosa Parks is an un-American woman? Is anybody going to sit down and say that Muhammad Ali, that Martin Luther King Jr., that these were people who did not represent the highest of ideals and values? They might not like you in the moment. They might chastise you and tell you that what you're doing is just causing things to be too disruptive. But the descending of La ilaha illallah into the Meccan Hijaz was one that was not meant to just bring people to a place of introspection, but it was a revolutionary notion and idea that sought to transform that entire society into a place where they just upheld true ethics and morality. And sometimes our moral responsibility and our moral obligation is to be disobedient, to speak truth to power, and to recognize that the increase of our power as Muslims is by actually embracing that which is true. Wealth will never be the truth. Materialism will never be the truth. The pursuit of this dunya will never be that truth. But you got to find it in yourself. Go out and look and see what you can be a part of on this weekend. Go out and see what you can join in on in the coming weeks, where you can offer your skills, you can offer your talent, you can offer your know-how. Men and women from our community came together to set up a group of people that were very active at JFK Airport as lawyers and people who work in tech and people who understand how to build networks and communication. And through their efforts, of the many detainees that were let out, 40 came because of the efforts of this group. 40 different people who represent hundreds, if not thousands more. Got ease and alleviation from people like you. You don't believe you have to offer it, then you're not going to then end up offering it. Our movement starts from inside. You just got to think where it is you want to stand on these lines that are drawn. And what is it that you will say is worth not letting go of? Knowing fully that you're holding on to it means that somebody else is going to have to face persecution. They're going to have to face inequity. They're going to have to face injustice. They're going to have to face that reality. And if all it is not going out one day because you decided to stand at a protest, you called some Congress people, some legislators, you packed a courthouse. You didn't take that vacation because you donated your money to the civil rights organization that's working on your behalf. The broader gain of contentment that you will feel will be unlike anything else that this world will give you a facade of. But that's an individual decision. If we don't build it for ourselves, we can't expect anyone else to build it for us. Start to think strategically how you are going to be a part of that process, and where you have the ability to do, now is the time to go out and get it done. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. These times seem heavy and difficult, but as your brother who deeply loves and cares for you, I will say to you that it's one thing if you let people who are motivated by their greed and selfishness captivate your bodies. But if you let them win and be victorious in the captivation of your hearts, the confinement of your minds, then they will always have victory. Letting yourself understand that nobody has control over that other than you. You start to take a look inside and let yourself be liberated from these shackles of this dunya and move forward in a way where those things that you know to be good, truth, love, mercy, compassion, hope, permeate into this society that is in need of it, because it is emanating from the being that Allah has given to you. And every day you just go out and add a little bit more mercy into this world that is in much need of it. We will get through what is in front of us now. And that is not because someone wretched like me is giving you a promise, but the most merciful of those who show mercy, the source of an unconditional love, the source of peace, the most gentle, the most kind, Rahman, Rahim, Wadud, Latif. It is His promise. You just have to decide whether you believe that or not. There are a few announcements before we make dua. Our graduate student group is hosting a welcome back dinner today at 6 p.m. in the Musalla. Please feel free to attend. It'll be at 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock. Our Women's Initiative, they're hosting a regular drive that they do every year around Valentine's Day, where they create care packages for mothers and children who are victims of domestic violence, survivors of domestic violence and assault. And you can help to be a part of that by purchasing the packages and gifts online. We've been sending it out through our mailing list, and it's on our website as well. Please do give whatever it is that you can. Inshallah, on February 21st, Osama Cannon will be joining us here at the Islamic Center for our first annual Grand Mawlid program. In addition to Sidi Osama, Sheikh Fayaz Jaffer, Sister Mona Haider, and myself will be speaking. Encourage everyone to join us on that night. We started our weekly classes and halakas. Feel free to register and join us for those. The info is on our website. We're blessed again, alhamdulillah, to have our brothers and sisters who have been visiting us from the Jewish community here, from the congregation Beit Simchat Torah, who are here with us in this room as well as some are outside. Please, if you see any of them, convey your thanks and appreciation for their ongoing support. The sadaqah from today is going to be going towards helping people who are trying to get visas to enter into the country, acquire and purchase those visas and tickets. So there is a federal ruling that came out that is allowing for people to fly into the country through Boston right now. So whatever we collect in the sadaqah from today is going to go to organizations that are helping to facilitate the purchase of visas and tickets for those people to be able to get back into the country, to reunite with their families and their friends. So whatever you can give, inshallah, today, please do be generous with that. We'll be going to help people who definitely need us to show them support, inshallah. For those of you who are experiencing any type of anxiety or fear right now, if you have any worry, please do not go through this on your own. Reach out to us. We will try our best to help you. If you have concerns from a legal standpoint, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to the CUNY Clear Project. You can reach out to ACLU. You can reach out to CARE. We have been doing workshops here to help those grad students, undergrads, community members realize what their rights are and what kind of things they have to expect and anticipate just with the reality of situations. I wouldn't say that you should think about it as something that's just, well, it won't be a big deal. But do your legwork, and if you don't know where to start or where to go, please turn towards our community. We will do our best to help you. If you feel like you have something that you can offer or help in terms of services and assistance, and you don't know where to get plugged in, feel free to reach out as well. We'll be sure to connect you to people that are in need of support and your services. A few du'as, requests. Our sister Shifa, she's asked that we make du'a for her son, Ahmed Abdul Wadud's paternal grandmother, Jazima Qasim, who is very sick. And our sister Zainab Saiwala, her father Yusuf, sustained a stroke and is in recovery from that. Please make dua for them that Allah grants them both a complete shifa, a quick and easy recovery, makes things easy for their family members and loved ones at this time. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وفي الآخرين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين اللهم اجعلنا من المخلصين. We begin this supplication in your name, Ya Allah, and beseech you to send your choicest salutations upon your most beloved sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. We ask that you shower your infinite mercy upon this gathering, granting each and every one who is present herein and our loved ones only the best in this world and the best in the next. We ask, Ya Allah, that if all of us are meant to be gathered together only at this time, at this place, whether we are young or old, male or female, regardless of our race, our ethnicity, our social class, our country of origin, our cultural heritage, whether we are Muslim or come from a different walk of life, Ya Rabbi. If our individual hearts are meant to be in the presence of all other hearts that are gathered here only at this time, at this place, then gather us all together again in the best of places in the world beyond this one. Increase us, Ya Allah, in all that is good. Increase us in courage, compassion, and confidence. Protect us from any anxiety, affliction, or anguish. Remove from our hearts any fears or inhibitions, any worries, any anxieties, and replace them with an ever feeling of boldness and audacity through a recognition of your presence, your love, your mercy. Help us, Ya Allah, to be drawn towards your remembrance. For in these days that seem heavy and dark, indeed in your remembrance do hearts find rest. We ask, Ya Allah, that you protect each and every member of this community. Let us not be those who face undue persecution. Let us not be those who deal with the realities of inequity and injustice. Protect our loved ones. Protect our friends. Protect our co-workers. Protect our communities. Protect our families in their entirety. For any person who is facing any persecution, any injustice, any inequity at this time, Ya Allah, we ask that you ease for them there and give them alleviation, to grant wisdom to the oppressor that they might stop their oppression and make us tools and vehicles to just bring benefit and goodness to this world. We ask, Ya Allah, that you empower the leaders of this community, of this country, of this world, who are drawn by principles and values of righteousness, truth, and justice. We ask, Ya Allah, that you give them strength, that you protect them. Those who are standing day in and day out, every night sacrificing for our sake, so that we will have hope, so that we will feel empowered, so that we will feel that someone is standing for us. Like our dear sister Linda Sarsour, Ya Allah, protect her, who is standing in the face of great injustice, in the face of those who threaten her life, the life of her family. Ya Allah, protect them always. Like our brothers and sisters at CARE, who are standing day in and day out, filing lawsuits, working with those who are unjustly detained, dealing with all kinds of threats. Ya Allah, make us from the best of their supporters. Our brothers and sisters at the ACLU, our brothers and sisters at CUNY Clear, our brothers and sisters that work in any role as activists, as organizers, as community builders and leaders, who are giving up their time, who are giving up their security, they are giving up their well-being so that injustice will not prevail. Ya Allah, bless them always. Give them strength. Give them sincerity, give them wisdom, and give them only the best in this world and the best in the next. Ya Allah, we ask that through this community, you bring benefit to your creation. We ask, Ya Allah, that through this community, you bring empowerment to those who are seeking empowerment. That you help us to find the value in ourselves and to go and share that value with this world around us. That you make our decisions not motivated by a fear of losing some part of this world or in hopes of gaining some part of it, but you make our decisions, our motivations, our compulsion, recognizing of the reality that there is indeed a world beyond this one. And our sole pursuit, Ya Rabb, make it nothing less than your pleasure and your pleasure alone. Amen. Make the Quran our guide, Ya Allah, and help us to understand the deep meanings of it. Amen. Make the Sunnah our aspiration, both outward and inward aspects of it, and make us from amongst those who make our salah and our dua our anchors, tasting the sweetness of it. Protect us always from hearts that are not humble, tongues that are not wise, and eyes that have forgotten how to cry. Forgive us for our shortcomings and guide and bless us all. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا يَا مَوْلَانَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.